Yeah, but we don't see anyone, but we can hear. That's good.
Yes, yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, now we can hear.
Shreyans, can we hear you?
I can hear you guys.
Yes, okay, perfect, perfect.
We have 3 people. I see.
The extra person is right here. So are we good? All right, everybody's good?
Aren't we starting the meeting first?
Okay. So we are here.
Just before we begin, are you planning on
Are you
joining in
joining?
closed session? No, I just want. Okay, just want to make sure, because like
Okay,
if one or
hold
the
on.
other of you, it can't be both.
Right, right. All right, so we're set. Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to call the September 12th meeting of the Edison Public Library Board to order. Let the minutes reflect that it is 7:05 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this scheduled meeting has been provided to the public by notices given to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, and Sentinel, posted on the library bulletin boards and website, and given to the Township Clerk's office. Roll call, please.
Good evening. Ms. Mead?
Here.
Ms. Pam?
Here,
Ms. Kraus?
Here.
Ms. O'Neill?
Here.
Mr. DeBasquale? Here. Mr. Patel?
muted.
Here,
Ms. Leary?
Here.
Mr. Romano?
Here.
And Ms. Massey?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a quorum. The first item of business on the minute are the approval of the minutes, and we have a good few, so hopefully we'll go one by one. And hopefully you have reviewed the minutes of July 11th. If so, do we have any questions or comments about the July 11th minutes? All right, hearing none, they can be approved by unanimous consent.
Except I abstain because I was not at that meeting.
Thank you.
I abstain as well.
Okay, Sue, Lisa,
Was that the meeting? I think I missed that one too.
that was the July 11th meeting. Was that the meeting that you were? I think
Oh, then I was there.
you were there. You were there. I think it was the August meeting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Moving on, we have the August 8th regular session. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes?
Yes, I make a motion, we approve the minutes of August 8th.
All right, do we have any questions, or do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. That's Sue and Joe. Do we have any questions or comments about the August 8th? I believe we might have some abstentions. All right, all those in favor of approving the August 8th minutes?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Yes, so it's,
I've seen as well. I don't think I made that meeting.
okay, thank you.
August 8th.
August 8th,
Yes, I abstained.
you abstain, okay. All right, but they are approved, the August 8th minutes. The next item is the August 8th closed session minutes, and I would imagine that we have the same vote, where we have Lisa, Shreyans, and Tony abstaining.
Yes.
Otherwise, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. The next item is the minutes, the special meeting of August 17th, the open session.
I abstained on that one too.
abstain as well.
Okay.
I abstain as well.
All right, do the remaining board members who are not abstaining, do they approve those minutes?
Yes, approved.
Excellent.
Yes.
Those minutes are approved. We
And the
also-
same with the special meeting.
And the
It's
same for
approved
the special
also.
meeting.
Yes.
So we have abstaining is Fiona, Lisa, and Tony for the closed session. All right, we have finished the approval of the minutes.
Ms. Massey, point of
Yes.
order, if I may.
I'm sorry.
Point of order, if I may.
Yes, please.
Just in the interest of time, since the mayor's here, I want, if the board so approves, I'd like to give him the floor to speak for a few moments.
Well, I'll tell you, you are more than welcome to join the meeting if you want to come up on the dais and do that. We have, I mean, I don't think we would move to public. Do we want to move to public comment at this time?
Well, let's ask the mayor a question. Are you planning on doing anything if we have to do something in closed session?
Thank you, no, I just have a longer comment to make, I have no comment.
Okay, well,
Okay,
if you
then
don't,
let's
if you
make a
don't need to
motion.
join our closed session, then
Right, do we have a motion to move to public comments?
So moved.
Motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, okay.
floor
I'm
is
sorry, we
yours.
had Tony, you motioned, and we had a second.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Mead,
Yes.
Ms. Pam,
Yes.
Ms. Kraus,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. DePasquale,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Ms. Leary,
Yes.
Mr. Romano,
Yes.
and Ms. Massey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. All right. Mayor Joshi, I would like to welcome you to this library board meeting. It's very good to see you and have you join us. I'm sorry you're not up here on the dais, but it is good to have you here. And also, it is, we all got this, so I'm not sure whether you're going to address this evening, but it's good to have you here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason why I'm here is because I wanted to bring the trustees, the library trustees, up to speed on what has been happening behind scenes, as well as I want to be forthright, quite frankly, to the whole town. This binder should serve as factual proof and evidence and of all the conversations and everything that's been happening behind scenes, including some of our own agreements. I'm here out of frustration. I can't be more clear. I am here out of frustration. There's two parts to this. The first being the North Edison Library Expansion Project. That project was a project that was initiated when I served on the council 2 years ago. And during that time, we said that we wanted to expand the library. While I was a council member, I made numerous calls to various state officials throughout New Jersey, and I worked, quite frankly, with many of you to help secure $1.5 million towards a new library expansion. As mayor, when I go out to the public and I speak to hundreds of residents, quite literally daily, I'm often asked what is happening with the expansion of the library. It's gotten to a point where more recently, as even this past weekend, the youth have begun asking what's happening with the North Edison Library expansion. I get asked this almost on a daily basis when I go out in the northern part of town. And quite frankly, it's gotten to a point where the public also deserves to know, and I want each of you to understand that we are still in concept design phase. As mayor, we announced actually a plethora of projects. The list of projects that we announced was so vast that many individuals thought that we wouldn't be able to accomplish them. Quite frankly, we are nearing completion On several of them, we are going to have them done at a record speed. This is also the obligation, and this is the fiduciary responsibility of each of us as library boards of trustee members to ensure that we are serving the public properly, which is why I'm here on a plea, so each of you understand. When it comes to a project design, there's everything from pre-development, conceptual phase, envisioning the project, which I clearly presented when I served on the council 2 years ago. Design phase, conceptual design by an architect, an internal review and an approval, a plan by MEP, site, structural, any other parties, any other additional contractors and or consultants that may be needed, environmental studies, engineering, creating full designs and plans that includes site plans, floor plans, exterior elevations, how it ties into various aspects, in addition to the bid phase, where a project manager prepares bid specifications, internal review, our professional review, bidding out the process, reviewing that bid, having a bond for it, ensuring that all the insurances are in place for it, and then the construction phase, which is at the tail end. Pre-construction meetings with contractors, professionals, township officials, where a project timeline is completed and approved, and then construction begins. To the trustee members, each of us have a fiduciary responsibility to Edison residents. I implore you to recognize that this concept phase that we initiated 2 years ago is still in the concept design phase with an architect. Each of us are held accountable. The Library Board of Trustees need to do all of our parts in making sure that the work gets completed. And frankly, the work has not been completed. As mayor, I've said numerous times to individual members, through the library director, privately in passing, saying that the township would gladly pick up this project and run with it. And frankly, we'd be able to do it faster. Just give us that design. I implore you all to recognize that you have this fiduciary responsibility of focusing and holding the library employees and respective contractors accountable as well to make sure that work is properly being completed. But it is wholeheartedly unacceptable for each of us to look at the public or state publicly that we are accomplishing many aspects of this construction when we are simply not. We are well behind on this, and it's actually a disgrace. That is where each of us need to step up and recognize that things need to change. There's a second part to this. Construction was one. Since becoming mayor, an MOU was discussed. I have spoken to numerous mayors around Middlesex, around New Jersey, as well as business administrators. And the details in which are being asked of an MOU, a memorandum of understanding in terms of splits and accounting and health insurances and the work that our public works does, there's no mayor or business administrator or municipality around that has such a comparable. We are focusing our attention on the wrong thing. I'm going to lay out some very clear facts. We've had a meeting on September 13th, December 21st, April 14th, and August 22nd. The conversation happened as to how much the library trustees, library board collectively owes. When that conversation first came up, we said, absolutely, we'll work with the township, we'll work with our finance department to ensure that we clearly provide those details. I understand that no one wanted any sort of bias, so collectively, the trustees hired an independent auditor. An independent audit was completed, which is also indexed here as well. And the independent auditor, which none of us know, maybe you do, I certainly don't, clearly stated that the library board actually owes more in terms of splits because we have not had health insurance costs or any adjustments made since more than 10 years ago. More than 10 years ago. Rate of inflation will tell you that the library board collectively owes more, but it's fine because the library board can collectively afford it. Our bare minimum of 1/3 of a mil has been covering more than enough to cover those. We have been getting not just bad, but quite frankly, terrible advice. We have been getting terrible advice because even after we had this conversation on whether the splits are appropriate or what actually went into figuring out the actuaries detailed, I said very clearly, if you're not comfortable with this independent audit, go out and get a second audit. And I still implore each of you to do so. Go out, get a second audit, but the numbers won't lie. Insurance costs have gone up. Insurance costs have skyrocketed. They've certainly skyrocketed since 10 years ago. In fact, they've gone well over 50%. Having said that, my point being that we are wasting time, and behind scenes, we've had argument after argument in closed doors to the extent where it's become hostile, and it's unacceptable. Each of you trustees, each of us, need to understand what is going on. And it's not acceptable to say, I'm not sure, because it's been going on for 20 months now. When residents ask myself, what's going on with the trustees, what's going on with the expansion, I'm here publicly, and I will continue to come back here. I will continue to let the residents know very loudly as I can, that expansion is not happening because the trustees, quite frankly, all of us are not getting our act together. And our health insurance conversation, there is no other municipality that I've spoken to in the last 48 hours, more than a dozen, that has this type of conversation. We're getting terrible advice. All of this binder has been put together because it includes a shared services draft agreement, municipal excess liability from 2021 fund year, 2022, an independent auditor's report, the cost allocation, an actuary's recommendation, and as well as our GIF, which is our insurance costs. The municipality, you could not have a greater ally. The trustees cannot have a greater ally for the library as mayor than, quite frankly, myself. I love the library system, but come on, we are arguing over nothing right now. We need to move on from this issue. Very few municipalities even have MOUs. So the fact that this comes up in a conversation instead of, Mayor, how can you assist with the expansion, is where I need to explain to the public as well as yourselves, we need to act. Standing idly is not acceptable. I get held accountable every day. So should we all. I'm going to lay out a few numbers before I conclude. It is a matter of fact that our employee medical insurance costs have risen to $1.75 million. Insurance costs have gone up, and no one cannot say that just because we are self-insured does not mean that you only pay when you get sick. That's not how health insurance works. The advice that we have been given is outright terrible, because that is what it is implying. PERS, our pension costs, and actuaries have backed all these numbers up, go up to $331,000. Insurance costs, other insurance costs, $77,000. And public works, which very few municipalities mayors could even understand why I was even asking this question, because they said it was ridiculous. No other municipality goes into the breakdown of what Public Works does for the library system. Why are we doing it? We did it anyway. It comes in at $12,000. Administrative salaries and other expenses are at $20,000. We have to decide what we are doing as a trustee board. We need to move on the expansion. We need to focus our attention on an expansion. And sitting back saying, I'm not sure what's going on, is a breach of our own fiduciary responsibility. Thank you for having me here today, and I implore you all to move on.
Thank you very much for coming here, and thank you for speaking openly about these issues. First of all, with the construction, I understand the level of frustration that people have, that all of us have. We have been working very, very hard to make sure. You might recall that when the grant was, when the application was put in, it was for a design concept. Now, we have not had an opportunity to speak about this at all directly, but you may, if you have had a chance to speak with the township architect, you may know that the design had to be modified just to bring the cost in and to make the design a little bit more functional than it was originally, which is fine. And that takes time. We have had meetings. We have not had responses from as quickly as we might have liked to have some responses. But now we are pleased if the Facilities Committee did have an opportunity to meet, and tonight, hopefully, we will approve having a project manager and an owner's rep who can help prepare the bid package, because that's what we've been advised, that we need the most help with the bid package. And I'm sure that when we have an opportunity then to meet with the engineers and the whole team, that we'll be able to move along very quickly. And I understand, yes, when you were serving on the council, we did work on the first phase of the construction bond. We were awarded the construction bond in the second phase. There is not one single library in New Jersey that received that construction bond that has advanced any further than we have. So I know the public, I know people in the neighborhood. People ask, when is anything going to happen with the North Branch? And we need to work together to tell the public that work is being done. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that needs to be done, and when it is time to do the bid package, and hopefully that will be able to move very, very quickly, then we will be there at the groundbreaking, and that will be wonderful. Now, in terms of the MOU, I'm very glad that you have brought that up, because yes, the library has always said that the library desperately wants to work collaboratively with the township to come to an agreement. I don't know what other mayors have said to you, but the crux of the issue is that townships must give the money that is given for the library on a quarterly basis at least, and they must release the entire amount of money. What the library has been asking for is to please release the money and then invoice the library for any expense. Now, it would be wonderful that if some of the expenses would just be done by the township, because the township doesn't give the library any additional money over what is mandated by the state. And maybe at some point that can return to what was done back in, before 2008, when we had the real financial crunch. But believe me, Mayor Joshi, the library board wants to work collaboratively with the township to get this MOU, this shared services agreement, finalized. And if we don't need to have, every tiny little number, and we can agree on a number, that would be ideal. That would be ideal. This is quite the binder that you have prepared for us, and I'm sure we will take a chance, we will be reviewing it. But you were not at that meeting in August, but we were making progress in getting some answers. But once again, like, we wanted to have an idea of the health insurance, and we were told that the township, and maybe that's just poor advice, but we were told that the township does not pay specific premiums for each employee, that all of the money is in a pool, and if there are any claims, then the claims come out of that. And maybe that is not correct. I know the director was given a phone number to get in touch to get additional information on the health insurance. But as far as I know, I don't think there has been any response. I don't know.
It's section 2, page 13, that has the auditor's report and has all the insurance costs. Actually, the medical also falls under F. You can see every single number. This right here is every single thing that each of us need to wake up, myself included, go through it, and conclude that we actually have a number in place. It's
Right.
been done by an actuary months ago. And as mayor, I'm telling the board as well as the rest of the town, and I will continue to say it, the conversations have become hostile, and this is the only municipality that I spoke to out of more than 12 where this conversation even happens behind scenes. And it's embarrassing. I'm going to conclude my remarks. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Can I-
Does anybody,
can I-
yes,
Can I say something?
of course.
Okay, great.
Well, you know what, how about because
Well,
we,
I'd like to have the floor now. I'd like to have the floor now.
well, you know what,
I have the right as a board member.
you do certainly have the right.
To ask for the floor to say something, and I'm not asking the lawyer, so please, I am talking to the president,
Okay,
okay? So, no, I have the right.
Excuse me.
To say something.
all right,
in
could
this
we
meeting.
just have a point of order here?
Yes, the point of
we
order,
went-
I would
we-
like to say something in this meeting. I am not asking the lawyer
I
for permission.
understand, I understand.
Okay, well, then he needs to not answer right now.
Well, I need to be able to
okay,
answer.
When the president
I
asks
need
for
to
a
be
point
able
of
to answer.
order, you need to listen to her,
Okay.
and if she asks me about a point of order, I can answer.
Okay,
Okay. I understand that tonight's meeting has gotten off to a start that is not really adhering to our agenda. I also realize that by voting for a public session, a public portion, that I know that the mayor went way over the time that we have agreed. So because we have not really adhered to the agenda right now, if there are any trustee remarks that any trustee would like to make at this time, we can do that. So yes, Tony,
Okay,
you
great.
are
Thank you.
recognized.
okay, so I'd actually like to put up a resolution of my remarks. So I move to terminate the contract of Dominic Brady, dismissing him as our attorney and directing the executive director to issue RFPs for new counsel for the board.
Yeah, that is not
That's
a
a
comment.
resolution that I can put up as a board of trustee at any point in the meeting. You can check with Robert's rules. I can do that.
Yes,
Okay?
you can put
Okay,
up a
and I am putting up a resolution that I would like, as I said, I can read it again. And that's what my resolution is. So the president of the trustees should be bringing that up now to the board.
Do we have a second?
Do we have a second?
All right, I'm not hearing any seconds.
Second.
Second.
Oh, did you? All right. So we have a motion and we have a second to terminate our contract with the attorney. Do we have any discussion? I will have to say, I really don't understand what the reasoning is for this motion. Because to be honest with you, having sat in the meetings, if we're referring to the shared services discussions, I have sat in on these meetings, and I would have to say that the library is extremely fortunate to have Attorney Brady as our spokesperson. Extremely, extremely fortunate.
I would also like to make a comment that I have worked with
Yes.
Attorney Brady also with a lot of the union negotiations, especially when we first started, when the library first wanted to, unionize, and his expertise, has been very welcome. He has led us in the right direction. He has not cost us any more money. Like the mayor said, we are being fiduciary responsibility. We are dealing with that. We've also reached out to other attorneys before hiring, Attorney Brady, and his cost was certainly within our budget than it was in a couple of years when we had a lot of problems. And with all his guidance with the union, we're really on a good track with that.
Okay, if I could say something.
Well, let's see if there are any other trustee comments.
I would like to make a comment.
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill, I can't speak to the union negotiations, so, I defer to you, and I think you may be correct in that, Mr. Brady may be a great asset in that case. In terms of the MOU, that's where I have had some experience with, Ms. Massey and the director and Mr. Brady as well. And I'm in agreement with the mayor that I feel we are making progress, but that progress has been slow. And I think part of that has been because of the hostility that the mayor has discussed and looking into these small items that, the board and the director or, the library is being advised to look into as far as I'm aware. And I think, in the best interest of the library, just as a trustee representative, then I think it's in everybody's best interest to move past the minutia, to be able to look at the bigger picture and be able to look at the library services for the entirety of the township. We all want to move forward. We all want to make sure that our employees are in good hands, that they have good insurance, that the library isn't spending too much, that the township is not exploiting the library or whatever it may be. And I totally understand that, and I agree with that. We should be doing a thorough look at every single thing. And I think from my perspective, the township has provided an independent audit. We've had these meetings with our lawyers, with the trustees, with the director. And again, we've been making progress, but that progress has been slow. And I think part of that has been because of the hostility to, as the mayor put it, because it's been difficult to move forward in some cases in these meetings. And I feel at times that, even the director and Ms. Massey, I don't need to speak on your behalf, but sometimes, it seems to be that your voices aren't heard at these meetings as well because Mr. Brady has comments to make that may or may not be related. So that's just my 2 cents. I'd like to move forward on the MOU as quickly as possible. I think all of us do, and I think that would be done so more productively with a different lawyer involved.
I would have to say, I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree with it, and I would have to ask, is the township planning on looking for another attorney? Because I would think that a lot of the discussion that happened, especially at the last meeting, was because of the township's attorney and his responses or pretense of not really knowing the law.
I'll comment, yes. We do have a number of lawyers within our system, through the Raynon Coughlin Michelot group. So I think if that's something that it is a concern with the Board of Trustees, it is something that we can consider if we do need a change in the lawyer who will be attending those meetings. We will still continue to be using Mr. Raynon's services as well as that firm, but in the case of that individual lawyer and those meetings, we can have a further discussion about that if you feel it would be more productive.
Are there any other comments? Yes.
The attorney on the board here, is the attorney here to represent the library board?
Yes. and to support the library board and to guide the library board in legal items.
If we have been discussing certain items, including some of this, the library board's attorney actually advises us on the legality of everything that we're talking about. Is that not correct?
Yes, it is.
I have lots of issues. I serve on, I'm an elected official. And on my board, in the past 3 years, we've had a 0 tax increase. Yes, the health insurance has gone up. And I agree. But we don't argue over something called the splits. And to be perfectly honest with you, we're a separate entity, the Board of Ed. And it seems that the library is a separate entity, but not really. I don't have any problem with the attorney. As a Board of Ed member that's invited to sit here on the dais, I have had my disagreements with our attorney, but I have never had a disagreement to the fact that he represents us. So I can't support this. Now, there will be a time when you send out a notice to take and look for another attorney, and I believe that's going to be in January. So I would support that in January, but not now. And the other question is does the attorney, in the attorney's contract with the library board, is there a stipulation of how many days, how many weeks, whatever, before a new attorney can be selected, or a new attorney can be, or attorney can be removed and a new one put into place? I think, personally, I would not support this.
Thank you.
So if I can comment, if we go back to the meeting back in January when the attorney's contract was going to be voted on, and there was a resolution that was actually brought up about getting RFPs. And what happened was, when the lawyer was told this by a former board member that he was going to bring this up, what did Mr. Brady do? He went to all the board members and said to them in their ear, whispering, that this is about my contract that's going to be brought up, and totally ignored me, where I had to ask another board member what was said. And then he continued to defend why he should be kept as the lawyer. Now, I don't know any lawyer or any employee that gets the right to defend in their meeting and give reasons why we should keep them as a lawyer. When you go on a job interview, when you work at a company, when there's any question, you don't go to your boss and start saying, well, I should be for this reason and that reason. You don't go whisper to other board members and trustees comments about this.
All right, you know what?
Wait,
We're
hold on.
going
I'm
to
not
call
done
the
yet.
vote. We're going
I'm
to
not
call
done
the
yet.
vote.
I'm not done yet.
You are
We were
speaking about the past.
We were also told by the lawyer it was his job to protect the library board from other people who years ago, Ms. Massey, if you remember, you did the same thing as this at a library board meeting, okay, to get rid of a director and also get rid of positions. Okay, so you did something like this, and you have this lawyer that he defended, and you allowed it to happen. You allowed him to defend and to rudely talk to other board members. Go back and watch the video. Go back rudely and argue, and this is the reason why he is unfit to be a lawyer, because he does
wasting
not represent the whole library board.
You have been
He
heard.
represents you and Alan. That's who he represents. Yes, that's what it is. He doesn't give us any information.
That's enough.
He does not give us any information. And he represents.
Please let have another person speak. You have had enough
Fine.
time. Yes,
All right,
thank you.
All right, so to jump on to what Ms. Massey said, and Ms. Cat, I don't remember your last name, you said about their attorney and possibly using one of their other attorneys from the firm. Would that be an option for us to be able to use another attorney from Mr. Brady's firm?
I can speak, I will speak to all of
You
this.
can speak to
Okay,
that.
let me speak to all this. Let me start off with why they, first of all, there was no Rice notice for today. There was nothing on the agenda. When the trustee says that there is no right for an employee to defend himself with respect to something like this, there certainly is. It would be appropriate for someone to get notice and have a chance to be heard, and I appreciate you giving me the chance to be heard. As far as talking with other members before the meeting, I did do that. And just like as I learned today, that the mayor made telephone calls to board members before this meeting. Nothing was put on the agenda regarding my appointment, but nevertheless, board members were spoken to individually, said that we have to get this. So let me back up as far as what the mayor said as far as getting bad advice. He said, I don't even understand why we need an MOU. Very few townships even have an MOU. That is completely not true. Bad advice is coming from the township's attorney. Under the shared services law, there must be a written agreement between the township and the Board of Trustees when there is shared services. We have not had that. We have been asking for that for a very, very long time. If that is the example of bad advice, I would submit to you that you have not been getting bad advice. You have been getting excellent advice. I have been doing this for a long time, and one of the reasons why I am successful at it is because I refuse to be bullied by adversaries or other attorneys. So when we were in a meeting, this last meeting in August, where the township insisted on bringing its attorneys, even though I specifically sent an email saying the township would like to work things out with the business representatives on a business-to-business level. They said, no, we want our attorney there. The attorney is there. When an attorney asks a question of a layperson in a meeting such as this, it's designed to do one thing, to get admissions from the adversary so that they could be used against you later. That's exactly what which is what happened at that meeting by Mr. Rayon asking legal questions of the director. Now, I had not said anything up until that point because I had said I wasn't going to say anything because the business people should work out the business deal. But Mr. Rayon tried to put the director on the spot, and quite frankly, I had to say that he was misstating the law, which he was, and that the director actually told him exactly what the law is with respect to the shared services agreement and the 1/3 milk collection, which Ms. Massey correctly set forth today in responding to the mayor. The numbers that we have been provided are not accurate numbers. This is not an audit. We've discussed this before, but it is not an audit. And I'm happy that this is an open session because, quite frankly, if a person had gotten a Rice notice, the discussion would be in closed session, but they would have the opportunity to move it into open. So I'm glad that it isn't open, because my entire focus on this is not to represent Ms. Massey, not to represent the director, not to represent any individual. It's to represent everybody on this board and this board as a collective. And you said correctly, the very first meeting, you challenged me on my motives, right? And I said, and you challenged me on my billing. And you said, this is a waste of time. And I said, okay, I'm going to take this hour off for the last part that we did. And I did, okay? And I did. So, and you challenged me, but respectfully, I came back at you as hard as you came at me, and I gave you my point of view, and ultimately you agreed that with me, right? Or it's just, or agreed to disagree. Let's put it that way. We agreed to disagree. And that's how it's supposed to be. When you're hiring an attorney to deal with other attorneys in a matter that could very well result in litigation, you need that attorney to be on focus and with respect to and guarding your rights, not bowing to pressure, not bowing to telephone calls from the mayor or from anyone in the mayor's office that says, hey, you better stop this. So with respect to this, and I'm going to go through a couple of things, there's other issues in the law that were misstated at that meeting. At that meeting, the financial representative stated that the township pays, can I put all this in a memo for you? The township pays retiree benefits under what's called Chapter 78, and it has paid the entire cost of retiree benefits for the entire time, and it has billed the library for that, billing the library for those costs. I pointed out at the meeting, correctly so, that under Chapter 78, you cannot, it was by law, you could not provide completely free medical benefits to retirees or to employees. There had to be at least a 1.5% contribution, and more importantly, a contribution based upon what the employee would make on a sliding scale that's set forth in the chapter. When I said that at the meeting, Mr. Rayola said, and some other people said, that's not true. That only applies if you retired before 2011 with 20 years pension experience. That's not true. That's the opposite of what's true. People who retired in 2011 with 20 years of experience were grandfathered in. For those people, we could pay, or the library could pay, or the township could pay 100% of the retiree benefits. That's not what's happening, at least from what we were told. And I don't know if there's anything different in this binder, but I don't think that there is. So I assure you that you are not getting bad advice. I'm giving you the best advice I can. I've been doing this for over 35 years. I've gone to the Supreme Court of New Jersey twice. I've focused exclusively on employment law and library law, and I've represented many, many libraries. And even to those who are trying to get rid of me, I am trying to protect you as a board. Because when the mayor talks about fiduciary duty, it's exactly right. You have a fiduciary duty to do what you are supposed to do to protect the library, its assets, and its employees. And that has not been done in the past. This is the only board that has decided to stand up and try to get information from the town so that it could do its job. And its job of knowing what the costs are and determining what percent, what costs need to be borne by the township and what costs need to be borne by the municipality, by the library board. The MOU that is in the mayor's binder has a provision in it that basically says we're going to start sharing services now in 2023, but in Schedule B of that document, it says that in order to recapture the difference between the current cost analysis and the 2022 billing amount, and it has the numbers, the library shall pay an additional one-time payment of $923,522.03. That's the number that they came up with that the library allegedly owes the township, even though the library has all of these years paid exactly what the township said it was owed. The township did this magical thing of splits and said, we're not going to give you your 1/3 mil every quarter, as the president correctly pointed out is the law. We're not going to do that. We're going to do these things called the splits, where you're going to have to pay for a portion of our costs. And included in that was a bunch of things. And Ms. Kraus, to her credit, 10 years ago, tried to get these numbers. When the mayor says that people have been dragging their feet, it's because we have been asking and asking and asking. And because of politics and issues like this, where someone tries to, let's get rid of the guy who's trying to protect the library, and let's have a vote on it. I hope that you don't vote now, but if you do, I hope that you get someone as good that will do what I do, because that's what you need. You don't need a yes person for the mayor or for the township. This is, it's fine to work with someone, but they don't, my impression is what is going on is not a working relationship. We have been stymied, we've been asked for information, and we've been trying to get information. So I know that a lot of you have been working with me a long time, and your vote is your vote. You should vote your conscience. But I will tell you that the one thing that I do, I have no stake in this other than to do my job, which is to protect the library and the library board. So I welcome your vote.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I do have a legal question. Is it legal that we talk about the attorney with him being here and not being riced?
But he's a vendor. Why does he have to be riced?
He's an
He's not an
employee.
employee. No, he's not. He's a vendor.
He protects the
vendor.
board of.
He's not an
He
employee.
protects the library board.
He
and
is
the library-
not. He's not an employee. He's an outside vendor that we pay. It's a difference there. He's not. Why are you ricing somebody who's not an employee of the library?
We're
He has
talking
his own
about this
company.
gentleman in public.
Right, but he has his own company. He's a vendor. So why can't we talk about a vendor? He's not an employee.
I didn't say we can't talk.
Okay,
we
we
can
should be
talk,
able to
but we
talk
should
about
talk
him.
in private session.
But no, we don't need to. It's a vendor.
He also has a contract
Right, and we can terminate that at any point.
for a cause.
But we can terminate that.
And what are the costs, and how long does it take? And the fact
We
that
can terminate that contract immediately if we all vote on it.
Just the cause.
for a cost, what is the cost, sir?
Because what's the cause?
Cause.
Cost, dollars and cents.
Oh, I don't know. But at this point, we need somebody who's doing the work for us.
What is the cost, sir?
I don't know what
asked,
the cost
what is
is.
the dollars and cents?
I don't
If
know
you're
what the
asking
cost
for
is.
something, please
I'm
give
just
us the
asking to
dollars
terminate
and
his
cents.
contract.
If
That's
you're
all
talking
it is.
about the public that's watching, I want them to understand it's dollars and cents. What is it going to cost us to remove this person?
Well, you got to ask the attorney that. He's the one who's billing us.
This is turning into a circus.
I didn't hire him.
I'm just saying this is turning into a circus.
Ms. Massey, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
My question would be just, has the board, since I've only been here since around July, has the board received guidance to pursue any outside audit, since it seems that with the MOU, a lot of the language goes back to distrust about the township.
Okay, this goes back to the
Tried to
MOU.
do that.
No, that,
Tried to do that.
oh my goodness, excuse me. Yes, that was discussed, and it was determined that because there was such a lack of information, that we could easily spend $10,000, and it was not going to be worth it to the library or to the taxpayers to spend that kind of money to find out just what we can find out
Actually,
from
we,
the
were,
town.
we had a resolution to do that, and then the
Thank you,
director
Ms.
said
Massey.
that there was not anybody that we could hire to do that.
Because
That's really
what the director
Excuse
said
me.
was that in order to do an audit, you need to have the numbers to do the audit. And what the audit is of would be the township's costs and the township's expenditures, and we could not get that information, so an audit could not be done.
Yes,
I've got
yes.
Now, we've heard from several people. For the people who have not yet spoken, which pretty much
Microphone,
I think
please.
is me, is there
Yes.
anyone else, like
Microphone,
anyone
please.
else? I think the people who are online. Do you have any comments? Because otherwise, I think it's time to call for a vote.
Yes. Do either of you on Zoom have any comments that you would like to make at this time? I'm not sure whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I have been on the board for the last few months and years. I think the lawyer is representing us and we are happy about what he's doing, and that's my 2 cents of
Then I'd like to.
Okay.
the
let's
library.
call-
Let's call for a vote, please.
Yes,
unless
let's
Mr.
call the
Patel, you
vote.
have a comment.
Could we have a roll call vote, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment, Mr. Patel?
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I think my only thing is, as you know, being one of the newest members on the board, I wasn't really here in the beginning when, you know, whatever happened might have happened and where all of this might have started. But I, to some degree, from what Ms. Krause was saying about just a lot of arguing, and it seems that there's a lot of infighting being caused by this. And my only thing would be, if it's stemming from this and just bringing someone new in could potentially maybe alleviate some of that. That's the only place I'd be coming from. You know, just to maybe make everyone get along better so we can move on and actually do good for the township. But I can't speak on anything else because I've only been here for a few months.
All right, thank you. All right, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's restate the resolution, though.
Please.
The resolution was to, the resolution, we would just double check, was to issue an RFP for a new attorney and to terminate the current attorney's contract. Is that correct? That's correct, okay. Roll call vote, Ms. Mead,
At this time, no.
Ms. Pam,
No.
Ms. Krause,
No.
Ms. O'Neill,
No.
Mr. Di Pasquale? Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Ms. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
No.
Ms. Massey?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 noes and 3 yeses. The motion does not carry.
Thank you. All right, I would now like to return to the regular agenda, and I think this might be a little timely. We have my report. I did want to focus on the fact that, you know, September is more of a new year even than January, with the students back in school and vacations over. And I think it's important because of that, and because of some of the things revealed during this meeting, during the mayor's presentation and during the discussion, for the good of the trustees and for the good of the public, I really would like to read the ethics statement. It's a public library trustee ethics statement put out by the American Library Association. Public library trustees are accountable for the resources of the library, as well as to see that the library provides the best possible service to its community. Every trustee makes a personal commitment to contribute the time and energy to faithfully carry out his/her duties and responsibilities effectively and with absolute truth, honor, integrity. Trustees shall respect the opinions of their colleagues and not be critical or disrespectful when they disagree or oppose a viewpoint different than their own. Trustees shall comply with all the laws, rules, and regulations that apply to them and to their library. Trustees, in fulfilling their responsibilities, shall not be swayed by partisan interests, public pressure, or fear of criticism. Trustees shall not engage in discrimination of any kind and shall uphold library patrons' rights to privacy in the use of library resources. Trustees must distinguish clearly in their actions and statements between their personal philosophies and attitudes and those of the library, acknowledging and supporting the formal position of the board, even if they disagree. Trustees must respect the confidential nature of library business and not disclose such information to anyone. Trustees must also be aware of and in compliance with Freedom of Information laws. Trustees must avoid situations in which personal interests might be served or financial benefits gained as a result of their position or access to privileged library information for either themselves or others. A trustee shall immediately disqualify him or herself whenever the appearance of or a conflict of interest exists. Trustees shall not use their position to gain unwarranted privileges or advantages for themselves or others from the library or from those who do business with the library. Trustees shall not interfere with the management responsibilities of the director or the supervision of library staff. And finally, trustees shall support the efforts of librarians in resisting censorship of library materials by groups or individuals. I think this is a very timely reminder to all of us that along with our fiduciary responsibilities, we work as one. We speak as one board. And we should not be swayed by outside phone calls or what have you. And I had other things that I wanted to say during my report, but I'm going to move on to the agenda. All right. The next item on the agenda are the financial reports. You had an opportunity to review the financial reports ending August 31st, 2023. We have the operating account, the capital account, North Edison account, and the payroll account. Are there any questions about that particular report or those reports? All right, hearing none, let's move on to the bill list. Hopefully, everyone had an opportunity to review the bill list. Do we have any questions about that bill list dated September 12th, 2023?
Well, what can I say?
All right,
Just,
you're on.
nothing, urgent, but in reviewing it, I do notice that, if it would be helpful in the future if we could have the dates of some of the bills, because you've got PSE&G, there isn't twice. I don't know what the billing period is regarding hours, but, that would certainly help a little bit,
We'll see if we can
especially
get
with,
it,
the engineers, the cleaning and maintenance of the buildings, with the amounts that they are and what time period it might cover.
Yeah,
And like I said,
we can try to do this in a little longer spreadsheet. I want to, I'll see what I'm trying to avoid. Sorry, my allergies are really bad tonight. Is trying to avoid giving you a legal size sheet. So
well, no, you don't have to. Just shrink the size of the column B, because
Okay.
those are only figures.
Well, you know what?
I
'Cause
can't see.
I bounced this up to 14 points because previously people said the print was too small.
Well, the
So
print is too
I'll-
small, but you can just change the size of column B
And I'll-
and add another column in about, the date of service.
Yeah, we
And
can
you
do
can actually,
that.
the second line of it, just, the column line, make it a little bit, longer, and it could have easily a title on it.
Yeah, I mean, the report that we print out that verifies this is probably not in a form that most of you would love seeing, but has a little bit more detail. But even that has some things. But you know what? It's what we put in will come out. So I'll work with Amanda to see if we can get something. The
Yeah, there's,
input
like
will
I
go
said,
in the
there's plenty
output.
of room in column B. You
Yeah.
could just, make another, move that all the way over and make another little column about dates of service,
Yeah, well,
and location, NE, ML, CB.
yeah, except what I have to do is we'll have to put it in the description in Edmonds on that line, and so that will print out. Otherwise, it won't print out. So I'd have to do it all by hand. So that's what I'm saying.
I don't want to make you
We-
extra work, but.
No, that's what I'm saying. we'll enter the things in Edmonds differently. So then we could be able to put as much information in that line as possible.
Yeah, see, that I'm going to think we're
Oh, yeah.
paying PSC&G twice in 1 month, and I'm sure that's not the case.
Yes, because, for example, we were fortunate this time, we had bills that came in. We got every single bill in this month that came in as of 12 o'clock yesterday. And we did it on purpose because we had 3 days last week, we had no mail. So
Oh,
we
gee.
didn't want to, like, it's always the utilities. And we had even tried to go on and they didn't have it. And then all of a sudden Optimum showed up and a couple of others showed up in the mail. So we tried to, so now we've done all the bills that came in as of Monday at 12 o'clock. Once we run the checks tomorrow, then we will start to put in the new ones for the
Are
whole
we
new
still
month.
getting them via mail, or can we get them via email?
Both. We have to go on the site and pull them if they're there. But what was interesting is, one of those PSE&G, Amanda went on the site for the second one, it wasn't there. It came in the mail before it was on the site.
Oh, jeez.
And I said, oh, here's another bill, we just got this. So she said, not on the site yet. So we will continue to try to do our best. Just tell us how you want the bill list, and we will try to
Yeah,
do it
like
in
I
any
said,
way you
just,
want it.
the periods of service on some of the items. That would be helpful. No rush, but
Yeah.
that would be, a little bit helpful.
That's a good point. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Fiona,
Go right ahead.
Okay, line 7 and 8, lifesavers, what is that exactly?
those were the AEDs, the defibrillators. We had to buy new batteries for them. In the branches, the batteries died. So as you know, we have defibrillators in all the branches that were, I guess we have them now about every 5 years. And the batteries last, even though they are supposed to be rechargeable, ours are not. We never bought the AEDs that had the whole thing. I'm going to say, we bought the inexpensive AEDs, and then there's the expensive AEDs. The expensive AEDs, you plug them in, your battery always charges. We did not buy those. So these were here when I got here, so I'm not sure when they were bought. So they get inspected on a regular basis, and those were all for batteries. So that's the company that we buy the batteries from, and anything else we need for the AEDs. There's also a little contraption, we had to buy a new one for the children. There's a special attachment you use. You don't use a regular EED with the kids. You put something with that AED thing. So that's who Lifesavers are.
Okay, and line 30, Ballusta Landscaping, so for $7,000.
Yes, that's what I talked about in my director's report. We did landscaping at Clara Barton. We put new shrubs on Pleasant Avenue, new shrubs in the front of the library. The rocks, which are part of the drainage system, all got added to, as well as some rocks on the side where people park that was just dirt that was spilling over every time it rained. So we got a couple of more things we want to do there to give it a little bit more curb appeal. So that's why that is that. So I did talk about that in my report.
Okay, and
I hope you'll come and visit and see the bushes really do look nice.
It does look very nice. It does.
And one of my neighbors who goes to North, one of the kids in the area, they were talking about the printers. Something's going on with the printers at North. They weren't working or
They
something?
weren't working for a couple of months. We were having trouble with the company that services them. They were sending invoices to two email addresses that don't exist. And so it went back and forth. We finally paid them up to date. They've changed it now. They have Amanda's email address and my email address, so we're all fine. All of the copy machines are all up to date and all fixed in all the branches, and the fax machine in our office that was a little wonky has been fixed as well. So we're all up to date with that.
Yes.
Alan, number 72 and number 73, I'm not questioning the dollars. I'm questioning, is this salary split? Is that what this is all about?
No, that really shouldn't be salary split. The AXME is the union dues,
That I understand.
and the Township of Edison is, we'll have to go back into Edmonds and change that. And that was the pension that has to go back to, the pension that was taken out of staff salaries, that has to go to the town. So we'll
And-
have to change those two. Thanks for pointing those out.
And also, we have 3 facilities. Is that
I'm
not
sorry,
correct?
Joe?
We have 3 facilities? We have,
Three plus the mobile library, 4.
okay,
yeah.
but why is it that I never see 3, I only see 2
For,
in a bill list? You have, like Middlesex Water, you have 2 water bills, number 61 and 62. What buildings are they for?
it's Clara Barton and North.
Are they together?
No, they're on separate bills. Maine at this point has never gotten a water bill because it's the Township Water Company, and that's in the shared services agreement. That's why we don't get a bill for the Maine Library. You only see 2 water bills.
Okay, now, the main library, the building is owned by the township?
Yes,
And the parking lot,
yes.
that's owned by the township?
Well, I mean, this is where we get into, legality is, physically, everything is owned by the township. All our computers have township labels on it, our printers have township labels, our filing cabinets have township labels. The idea is that the townships, by law, owns the facilities, builds the facilities on behalf of the library board, and then the library board manages the facilities.
Okay.
So that does include the parking lot.
Now, okay, so then maybe I should ask this question of the council vice president. When somebody falls through the hole in the drainage at the main library, who's responsible?
I don't have an answer for that, but I can certainly get that for you.
Right now, because what I've seen for the past 5 or 6 months, there's an orange cone.
It's gone, Joe, it's gone. The township did fix it.
They fixed it.
They fixed it.
Well-
I'm going to say a thank you, 2 big thank yous in my report to the township. One, I should say 3. One is they fixed the 2 sewers that needed to be fixed.
They're storm drains, sir.
Yeah, they were done. The second thing was they fixed our driveway. That was completed today, so we thank them. They did a wonderful job.
That's why I haven't seen it. Okay.
And the third thing, or the fourth thing, I guess, is a bookmobile died yesterday. We called them up, they towed it, they got it started, they towed it, they took it to the garage, they fixed it. It was back today. So we do thank DPW for the great work they did, and we have a good relationship with them. And I'm going to say the things with the cones. Sometimes there's more important things that have to be fixed than that, but usually they're okay with helping us out when we need it in a timely manner.
I'd like to thank Margot. I'm sorry, Margot. I mean,
Yeah.
you're here. Like I'm sitting at my board meeting and they yell at me real good. So, no, thank you very much for your information.
Do you still need an answer to your original question?
No, I'll deal with the council president and the vice president at a later date.
Okay.
Trust me.
Are there any other questions about the bill list?
Ms. Massey, I have a
Yes.
question. First, if I could address Mr. Romano, just to clarify some of that. Typically, how the process works is the library would be the one to submit a work order to the Department of Public Works on the township's end, and then the department would come out. I just want to put this out there. If there are any issues, as the mayor's representative, I'm happy to, be the liaison between the township and the library board, if there's a delay. So that's just one comment. Related to the bill list, item number 46, the Liberty Science Center, what does that cost for? $525? Oh, great. That's awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Sue?
No, I'd just like to make a motion that we approve the bill list.
Excellent. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. Roll call vote, please.
Sorry. Ms.
Yes.
Mead,
Yes.
Ms. Pam,
Yes.
Ms. Kraus,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes?
Mr. Di Pasquale,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Ms. Leary,
Yes.
Mr. Romano,
Yes.
Ms. Massey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move on to the director's report and the assistant director's report.
It's been a busy evening already, so I'll just keep my, I've given you an updated director's report. You have it underneath your agenda to read at your leisure. Just a couple of things. I already mentioned the bookmobile was out, it's back. We did have to close Clara Barton last Thursday. It happened to be coincidental that I was there. We had power outage, on, off, and it just didn't come back. So we closed, it was close to about 5:30 last week because PSE&G said would not be fixed till late at night. Just as a matter of finances, we did turn over the CDs. All of that was done yesterday and we have the new paperwork, so that was handled by TD Bank, honestly, like effortlessly. Like I wish everything would go that easy. So it was just wonderful. Thank you. And I do want to remind everyone, September is National Library Card sign-up month. We are encouraging everyone in town to invite a friend to the library this month and introduce them to something that you really enjoy at the library. And so we hope to have a photo op at the end of this meeting, a 2-second meeting. Michael will take a picture. For those of you who don't have your cards with you, we brought some dummy cards so that everyone can hold up their Edison Public Library card and we could use it as part of our promo. We had just a few personnel changes. Jill Ratson, who had started with us full-time, has changed to part-time librarian. Tianji, I always pronounce, am I doing that bad again? Tanya, one of our part-time library assistants is going full-time, and we just have a new part-time library assistant, Rosemary Orlandini, who started with us this week. Pretty much that's it. Any comments? School is here. We've been busy. I don't know why. Usually school starts, we're dead. We're really not dead. And I'm saying this because yesterday was Monday, and we circulated over 2,500 items in all 3 branches, and that's pretty good for the kids that are back in school and everyone, unless they've gotten assignments already and they're headed into the library. I should mention we had our first Sunday. We were nicely packed. People found us. I was in on Sunday, so it was good to welcome some of the Sunday staff back. And people are, as always, appreciative of what we do. So it's kind of an honor to be the director. When people think you're the one responsible for everything, Even though you're not, you just thank them and just, keep moving on. So that's kind of my short report for this month. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Deborah, I'm assuming your report was excellent. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
Oh, I was just thinking, keep an eye out because we have a lot of really exciting Hispanic Heritage Month programs coming up.
Yes.
So we have, I think it's a cooking demonstration and some musical programs. So they'll be sent out via the newsletter soon.
Yeah, I attended the guitarist on Saturday. We had about 25, 28 people on Saturday. He was just wonderful. Really, really good. And he's going to be doing 2 other programs for us. So it's good. It's interesting to see the people who came to that program. I've never seen any of them in the library before. I didn't know of one of them. And, and we have our regulars that come in here almost every day or once a week. Never saw them before. And they were just like, more, give us more. So that's what we're trying to do.
Good, thank you. All right, we'll move on to committee reports. We had a busy month with the committee meetings. Facilities did meet. We met on September 7th, and we had proposals. We listened to proposals. We met on Zoom, and we listened to proposals from 2 different project managers. And we do have a resolution to approve one of them that we'll do under new business. Sue, do you want to report on the Finance Committee?
Yeah, the Finance Committee met briefly. Mostly we went over what went on with the banking. We renewed some CDs, which is good because that's why we're making interest and just keeping it all in the account. We also did talk about the hiring of the project manager and the cost of that, and that we're going to be hopefully approving that today. That we're doing everything one step at a time, to keep within the legalities of the law.
Exactly. Thank you. Fiona, personnel?
The Personnel Committee met a few times over the last month, and we will be discussing personnel matters in closed session.
In closed session. Thank you. And policies and bylaws, we do, as we know, have a number of policies that we want to review, and I think Alan reminded us of a few additional ones in his report, but we really did not have a chance to meet at all, and there was no meeting of strategic planning for that committee as well. Now, do we have any old business? I don't believe so. Now, we have public comments on the agenda. I don't know whether there's any members of the public who want to speak, but I do believe this would be your opportunity, Margot, if there's anything that you want to report.
We have a combined council meeting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. in council chambers here. It's going to be a jam-packed one, and one of the hot topics is going to be the issue of privatizing crossing guards. And there's a lot of talk in the public about this and a lot of concerns about it. The fact of the matter is that there have been a lot of posts that have been unmanned or unwomaned, as the case may be. And that when that happens, the police are called away from their posts and they have to man those posts at $80 an hour. And so that costs the township and also keeps those particular personnel away from what they really need to be doing. So there will be I'm sure, a very hearty discussion about this tomorrow night, so stay tuned.
Thank you.
That's really about it in terms of, I think, things that are really on the top of the agenda.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Pat?
Yes.
About the crossing guards, I had a long conversation with the chief of police and with the board member, Virginia White. And we're addressing that issue, but it's not the Board of Ed, it's actually the Township Police Department. And no one was applying, so that's why they're doing they're doing it privately.
That's right.
So I want everybody to know we're looking for crossing guards also. We're looking for bus drivers and bus aides and everything. But thank you for tomorrow night. Actually, I'll be at a meeting tomorrow night at my board, so
Yeah,
have
thank you.
fun.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, at this time, do we have any trustee comments or questions?
Do we have any public comments?
No, no, no.
Make sure.
Yes, no, we don't. All right, do we have any trustee, let's start with, can we start with our Zoom attendees? So we don't forget you. Are there any, do you have any comments or questions that you would like to make?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Jyoti?
No.
Okay. Joe?
No, no comments at all.
Yeah, no.
Trust me.
Lisa?
I'm saving it.
I'm just going. I'm just going to point out, well, if this is National Library Card Month, but coming up, the first week of October is National Banned Books Week. So just be aware, especially with everything going on in the world with people trying to ban books. Don't read the book before you make a decision. Don't decide because someone quotes one line or gives one picture. Really give books a chance.
Good call.
There you go.
Sue?
I think we've all said enough.
Yes. Tony?
I'm all good.
Okay, good. Kat?
All I want to say, Edison's Fall Family Spectacular is coming up September 23rd. It's on Amboy Ave. While you're there, maybe check out the new landscaping at the Claire Barton Library.
Good
Get a
point.
library
Good
card.
point.
It's Library Card Month.
Excellent.
That's all I want to add.
Where, actually, about that, where is the library table going to be?
I'm not sure yet. I could let everyone know.
Yeah, because I want to make sure I come by and, and stay there a little bit, because I'll, be there with my daughter and everyone having fun, so.
We're going to have 2 tables next to each other, one for the library and one for the Friends. So that will be the first real kickoff for the Friends. And they're all excited about having a table and staffing it for the day and promoting Friends of the Library membership.
Okay, good. Just let me know where it is so I don't miss you.
Right, that was one of the things that I had wanted to mention, that the Friends of the Library, the Edison Public Library brochure is now out, available at all of the libraries and the bookmobile. And there is a membership form inside, and as Kat said, the Fall Family Spectacular on September 23rd, the library will be there, and there's also going to be a book sale and bake sale at the main library on Saturday and Sunday, October 21st and 22nd, that we can announce again in October. All right. I understand we do need to have a closed session. Do we have a motion for a closed session?
Motion.
I'll second.
Do I want to do, oh, you know what I'll do when we come back? We'll do all of the motions when we come back. All right. Let me read the resolution for a closed session. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act provides for the exclusion of the public at Board of Trustees meetings during the discussion of certain matters, and whereas prior to the exclusion of the public from a Board of Trustees meeting, it is required that the board adopt a resolution stating the general nature of the subject to be discussed and stating as precisely as possible the time when the minutes of the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public. And whereas this body is about to consider a matter which falls within the purview of NJSA 10:4-12 and can properly exclude the public from such discussions, now therefore be it resolved that the Edison Public Library Board of Trustees shall enter into a closed session to consider the following matters: contracts and legal issues. All right, so we are now in closed session.
I'm sorry, real quick, do we need a roll call vote? And I do want to pause the Zoom before we go into.
Thank you. All right, can we have a roll call vote for the closed session?
Miss Mead,
Yes.
Miss Pam,
Yes.
Ms. Kraus,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Di Pasquale,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Ms. Leary,
Yes.
Mr. Romano,
Yes.
and Ms. Massey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so we will go into closed session now, and when we return, we do have several actions to take.
Recording stopped.
Excellent.
I want to ask what she wants to do with this now.
I was in the AV club.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go right ahead.
I've been charging it for days.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, did you send it to me? No, I don't, yeah, do. No, that's fine.